Welcome back. It's Nicole again. We're going to spend a little bit more time working through the lesson review. Last time we actually walked through a lesson and spent some time on the lesson review, but we're going to spend a little bit more time on the lesson review, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the activities and assessment. So here within the lesson review, you'll recall that you were able to pop out those questions just by clicking the pop out down here at the bottom left of the screen, which then allows students to be able to answer those questions, but also to be able to get back into the text, back into the narrative, to then be able to answer those specific questions. In addition, within the lesson review, students can click on that self-check quiz, which then allows them to really check themselves on how well they've internalized the content. So students would work through the 10-question quiz, and I'm just going to click on a few here for example purposes. Then they would click on Check Answers, and it will tell them that their test has been graded, and it will tell them how many correct answers they have gotten. And notice here on the self-check quiz, it'll show them what they got correct, and if they got it wrong, it will show them what the correct answer was. Students can email that score to their teacher, and they can also print that score out as well. And just keep in mind, this really is for the student's use. It is not for the teacher to use as a grade. It's really for students to determine whether or not they've really understood the content that they've worked through. So again, we've worked through the chapter opener, we've worked through place and time, we've worked through a lesson. Now let's go ahead and move into activities and assessment. This is basically your end of unit assessment for your students. Here, students again will always have that essential question that they've been focusing on and using throughout that entire chapter. And then they have their activities first. And you can really think of these as almost mini hands-on chapter projects. Students will work through exploring the essential question, they'll work through 21st century skills, thinking like a historian, and visual literacy. And again, students aren't just going to give one or two answer questions. They're actually going to go in and they're actually going to spend some time working through an activity. Really heavy and tied to the Common Core State Standards. Then when students move into the actual assessment piece, they're going to review those guided questions. And again, they'll type directly into the text box, and if you assign this online, you will be able to see all of their responses. As students move through the pages of the assessment, they will ultimately get to an area where they're actually going to be working through a document-based question where they're going to be analyzing documents. Here they're identifying main ideas, they're making references, and finally students will always have an opportunity for a short response and extended response. Now again, remember the last time we walked through that lesson review, and now we have the chance to actually walk through the activities and assessment area. So why don't you go ahead and maybe practice taking one of those self-check quizzes, and then go ahead and go into the activities and assessment area and spend a little time really looking deeper at those activities and noticing how deep the activities go and really how students will be analyzing the information that they've hopefully internalized throughout that chapter.